This is Long Way to the Top, and I'm your host, Shane Bryan. In the words of the immortal AC/DC, it is harder than it looks. These interviews will give you a glimpse into the lives of the artists that we've sung along with, danced and rocked out to. Some go deep into their past and others celebrate their recent releases. But all of them show that regardless of who you are, it's always a long way to the top. In 2012, Beasto Blanco was formed, a raw, powerful rock and roll band with a searing theatrical live experience featuring the electrifying collaboration of Nashville-based shock rocker Chuck Garric, bass player for the original shock rocker Alice Cooper, and high priestess Calico Cooper. I love how they described her on the website, the spawn of Garric's boss. I am joined by Chuck Garric today. And Chuck, welcome to the show.
Yeah, hey man, we're all spawns of Alice Cooper, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
He's responsible for my juvenile delinquency.
I was going to say you can't have an interview and talk about Beasto Blanco without talking about Alice Cooper, right? I mean, he's responsible
you can,
in a way.
but yeah, I think obviously, I think you wouldn't be talking to me about Beasto Blanco if there wasn't Alice Cooper. I mean, I've been in that band now with Alice for over 20 years. I have had so many life experiences, musical experiences, creative experiences through and with Alice Cooper. So, yes, they are joined at the hip, if you will.
Yeah. Now, I've been listening to your new single, Run for Your Life, completely blew me away. I've been a fan of your earlier music, but I absolutely love the new direction you're taking with the new music. Is it, I guess, what we can expect from the new album, which is Kinetic?
Yes, absolutely. You're going to be able to take away from this whole entire new record of Kinetica an absolute musical experience. You're going to be on a musical experience with a band that is trying new things musically. We are in a business of being artists and songwriters and performers, and we know who we are. We know the Beasto Blanco lane so well. We've carved it out, and we love it. But it was nice to get together with somebody like Chris Harms, who produced the album, and Chris Harms to say, hey, man, I love the Beasto Blanco highway you guys have carved out so well, but we're going to take a slight turn every once in a while. Yeah. I'm going to challenge you to sing a little bit of a twist on this melody. We're not just going to accept everything that comes our way. We're going to really analyze it, and we're going to take it. We're going to make it the best that we possibly can. And we're going to give this record a little twist. So you're going to hear everything that you love about Beasto Blanco from the past, but you're going to hear a band growing.
And you're a producer yourself. You've got recording studios. How is it like giving up the reins, I suppose, to another producer with something like this?
Yeah, man, it's a trip. I have to be careful. This is really something to really listen to, as far as all your young listeners, your followers, people that are musicians. We have a tendency to do something, and then that's the only way we can hear it.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. Some producers will call it demoitis.
Yeah.
And I work so hard on not having that. So what I've done with Beasto is I do not submit songs that are just complete and edited and done. And here you go. I really only am focusing on, these are the potential lyrics. and this is the potential melody, and this is the potential riff. If I've got the right people around me, which I do with my band and the producer, I'm going to let them do what they do.
Yeah.
Because if you're in a room of people, even though I've produced, and doesn't mean I'm the producer. I'm acting as musician. I'm acting as guy in classroom.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there and I'm being told what we're going to do and how we're going to try it and what we're going to do. And I get excited about it because I'm thinking, oh shit, I get to do something so cool to this song. I didn't even think about that. Or, wow, they really liked my idea. Okay, oh, listen to the guitar part that Brother Latham came up with. It's still the same thing that I wrote, but man, he really made it sound good and he put a little twist on it.
Yeah.
To me, I think it's nice when you surround yourself with people and everybody's a yes person. Everybody's like, let's try it. And trust me, if you're in a room with people like that, man, the creativity is just, it's electric. It's energizing. It's contagious. You got the one no guy, you stop the momentum. You don't want to stop the momentum, because if you're in the room with the right people, you're going to get the right outcome.
Yeah.
And even if it's a little different or a lot different, which you'll hear on the next Beasto record, than what you were thinking it was going to be, boy, it's really cool to listen back to what you did and to look and go, man, I would have never done it that way.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And when you're putting an album like this together, knowing that your stage show is very much, I guess, a theatrical experience, do you look at an album and go, well, I need to have this sort of theme happening within the album?
Yeah. Yeah, there is that with Beasto. We need a bit for this particular thing to happen. There needs to be a song like this so we can develop these characters a little bit more. The lyrics tell a story, but you know, Beasto theatrically to me is 4 guys or girl up there creating art, and we don't need all the props to be theatrical.
Yeah.
Calico Cooper is, in my eyes, one of the best stage performers in the business.
Yeah.
She draws your full attention. She is in it. She has checked out. She is on that stage, and man, she's going for it. She is a sensational performer. So we don't need all that stuff, but it's at our disposal. So we have things that give it the true terminology theatrical. But to me, theatrics is a live experience. It doesn't have to have all the bells and whistles. So we try to always gear ourselves for the energy of the music first, the energy of the music lyrics, and us up there telling the story.
And I think that talking about the theatrics and mentioning Calico, I think that's a really important factor in the growth of Beasto, because I believe it was you that actually said, you know what, if you can't sing, pretend you can sing.
You know what? Hey, that is true. Calico's calling me right now. I think she might want to join. Hold on.
Yeah, absolutely. Second. And then there were 3.
Hi.
Hi, Calico. How are you?
I'm good. Sorry, I had a big girl meeting I couldn't get out of. Now we're here.
That's all right.
I was just talking about you too. That's weird.
We were
really.
Yes, we were. Just to firstly introduce myself, Shane from Long Way to the Top. We were talking about the fact that I guess this Beasto Blanco has really been you finding your voice, and to the point where Chuck actually said, if you don't think you can sing, then just act like you can sing.
Yeah, basically, I've been an actor for so long. I was like, it shall be my greatest role, and it turns out that I could sing. And the types of voices that were coming out of me are really really featured on Connecticut on this record. I've been telling one of my favorite stories is in the song "Run for Your Life," our single that just came out. There's a part where I hold the note "Run for Your Life," and Chris Harms had intended it to be me holding that note all the way through, but I got to the end of where my breath could hold, and rather than give up in true Beasto fashion, I just dug my nails into my hands, and what came out was the sound you hear, that scream, and it was like money. That was it, but I didn't even know that noise could come out of me.
Yeah.
And it's my favorite part of the song.
It's interesting though too, because we were just talking about how you own a character, and in Beasto Blanco, it's Machine Girl. In Alice Cooper, it's Nurse Rosetta, who, I mean, let's face it. I mean, she was responsible for killing Alice. I mean, she's a terrible, wicked person, and you hate her. You absolutely hate her. With Machine Girl, you love her. You want her to just survive and get through this.
Yeah, I think that's a very on purpose change. Like, as far as the way I went about it is what's missing here. So for Alice, he's always been the bad guy, right? He's always been the kind of the villain. And I thought, what if I played the nurse instead of a damsel, in distress or whatever? What if I made the audience hate her 20 times worse than Alice? And a real big ask is to ask to create a villain that you want to root for the villain to kill, right? And there has to be a shitload of arrogance and stuff that's brought to it for you to root for someone to get clipped.
Yeah.
And so I was able to explore that in all the years with Alice. With Machine Girl, that's more of a peek into my real heart. The girl that you're seeing up there with the cuts and the scars and the bruises is sort of what's left over after life has kicked you around and whatever, and you stand back up with all the scars and the smeared makeup and the bruises, and I say, I'm ready to go again. Let me go again. And kind of push through, run for your life, kind of head first through the glass pane. And I think people like that. They root for that. And so the irony is Nurse Rosetta was very pretty. She was very done pretty, whatever, and we hated her. Machine Girl is beat up and unhinged and whatever, and you love her and you want her to win. I think that's such a great look into the human psyche.
Yeah, I love it. I also love the lyrics in the song, and you're really pushing some positive stuff there. When the world starts to chase you, pick up the pace, live for the race, be the hunter, not the prey. I mean, you're basically saying just get over what you're going through and just do it.
It's not so much that, it's turn it around.
Yeah.
Turn around what you're going through and really look at it differently.
Yeah.
It's like when we thought of the title, I know it even worked. It was that way for me when I thought "Run for Your Life." Well, that's the complete opposite of what Beasto's about. That doesn't vibrate for me, but "Run for Your Life." Now that vibrates for me.
Yeah. Because
that to me is taking control, or like you're saying, be the hunter, not prey.
Yeah.
Sorry, dogs.
And it's important for us to, every once in a while in our life, we need to have a cheerleader, and maybe there's these lyrics you heard at one particular time that will champion you, because God knows, we're up there on stage, and when we feel empowered and we feel, hey, we're ready to take this thing on, because I've got these guys behind me that if there's going to be a bar fight, I know who the 4 people I'm picking.
Yeah.
You know, or if there's going to be, if I need someone to come pick me up, I know who's going to do it, and they know who's going to pick them up. But to have the audience like that as well, to have them on the same page and vibrating with us on that, and having a lyric, a piece of a song that has shaped them a little bit for the better, or made them just sort of maybe just push their chest out a little bit and be like, all right, I'm not going to be as fearful, or I am going to try this new challenge. And we're really united, and that's been our goal ever since.
I love it. Where did the name Beasto Blanco come from?
Name. It's an alter ego, really. It was putting, it was putting a name to your inner spirit that you're going to summon to get you through this. You know, I was taking on a whole new challenge. I was a bass player, and have been a bass player pretty much my whole musical career. I was stepping into a role as being a lead singer and a guitar player. And I needed to summon some power somewhere, you know? So for me, Beasto Blanco was the name of the beast, name of the wolfman, name of the Hulk, if you will. And it's my inner spirit, you know? And I think everybody has their own inner spirit in there.
Yeah, love it. I love it. What made you pick up the bass in the first place? Was there an inspiration to you?
Well, yeah. So I was a trumpet player in school.
Right. Wow.
I loved music.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved to play the trumpet, and I just loved music because school was not something I was great at. But music class, I was getting A's. I was doing really well in music class, and so I just kind of I went to where, you know, I was wanted, and also where I wanted to be. So music now became part of my life, and just like anything, when you start getting into something, other things start to come to you. And I started to learn more about music. I had 2 older brothers that turned me on to Black Sabbath and AC/DC and, you know, Mott the Hoople and David Bowie and Queen and Kiss and all this stuff. And all of a sudden I was just being introduced to all this other rad music out there aside from orchestra, big band stuff. And I just stumbled upon 2 brothers. One was a guitar player, one was a drummer, and we wanted to start a band, and they needed a bass player.
Yeah.
So I bought a bass, and talk about, you know, facing your fears or running for your life. I didn't know anything about bass guitar. I knew nothing about it. I literally picked up a bass and just learned how to play it, and started a band. And that's just how it all started for me.
And then, you know, fast forward, you've worked with some of your heroes, some of the ones that you have loved, like, you know, Dio. I mean, Ronnie James. I mean, my God.
Yeah, there's not really there's only one you can follow up with after Dio would be Alice Cooper, right?
Yeah, right.
I mean, there's nothing else you can say after Dio. You know, man, Ronnie, Dio's music from Rainbow, Black Sabbath, Jimmy Bain's bass playing, Bob Daisley's bass playing, those guys, Roger Glover's bass playing, those. I was just influenced by everything that guy was doing musically. I mean, Rainbow, Sabbath, Dio, like I just mentioned. I learned all that stuff as a kid. When I was given the opportunity, when I got the phone call to audition for Ronnie James Dio, man, that to me was just like the biggest beacon. Somebody had just lit the frickin' forest on fire of like, you have just got offered the gig that you're meant to be in. Because I knew all that stuff, you know, that was where I belonged. And I to this day still have these wonderful moments because, man, I was playing with Dio and there was no cell phones like that. You know, there wasn't, the social media wasn't really big. It was just us in these sweaty clubs. It was my first time over in Europe, and it was so real and so new to me. And my hairs on my arm would stand up nightly when Ronnie would just come over. He'd flip the microphone over my head and stick the metal right up to my heart, and he encouraged me like nobody else, man. He used to come up to me. I'd sit on the bus, we'd have a beer, and he'd walk on the bus, and he'd tap me on the back, and he would say, Chuck, I wish I met you earlier in my life.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Isn't that
And
lovely?
I was like, oh man, because I would do anything for that man.
Yeah.
And when I say that, I mean musically. When I was on stage, man, I gave it my all. I felt like a ballerina, what she has to do to get up on her toes, and the work she puts into it. With Ronnie, I was blood, sweat, and tears with that, and he really shaped me. It was miraculous time in my life.
Yeah, sensational.
It led me to Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
It's led me to so many things in my life, and again, I do give a lot of thanks to that guy, Ronnie James. Man, fantastic time in my life.
And Calico, did you have the same sort of influences growing up as well? I mean, the Dio and I'm just gonna say it, Motorhead. I mean, like if there's anyone that Beasto sounds like, it's Lemmy. I mean, seriously.
That is a high praise.
That's wild.
High praise for this group.
It
yeah,
is.
I think we were just talking about this, how comparatively, right, a lot of people get all bent out of shape when it goes, oh, you guys sound like this, or sound like, your influences or this or that. Or even me back in the day at the beginning, when people would say, wow, you really remind me of Alice in the 70s, like this like unhinged thing. And for a while I was like, no, we're our own thing. And we are, of course. But then I started thinking about the people that we're being compared to are legendary.
Yeah.
It's not like we're getting compared to like someone that we're like, oh, thanks a lot. These are incredible performers and killer vocalists, and I mean iconic, right? So it's like it could be a lot worse than having similarities to Motorhead and Alice and Zombie and all this stuff. Like, yeah, bring it, baby. We're never trying to copy, but like, those influences will definitely sneak out. And I was definitely a musical theater kid. So every song to me has a visual. It has to, right? And I realized quickly that wasn't how a lot of kids' brains worked, where I would listen to, a Paula Abdul record when I was a kid from beginning to end, and I would make up a whole movie in my head that incorporated all those songs.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
So a natural stretch for me is to is to bring that to Beasto, and having sort of like not just your father, but like basically my work mentor. I mean, my first real job was touring with Alice, and I got a side seat on how this is done and how it's done right. And by right, I mean, how do you treat people right? How do you lift people up and push them to their greatest, right? And I got to learn that. And just like Chuck, got to have that thing with Dio, I got to kind of sit at the feet of the masters and go, that's how they do it. And then when I was given my opportunity, there are some similarities, but some things that I do that even my dad goes, I don't know if I'd have the nuts to do that.
But it's interesting though, because you take a normal band. I say a normal band, just say a pop band, for example.
Right.
When Matchbox 20 go out and perform, they're Matchbox 20. When they come off stage, they're still Matchbox 20, right? Whereas what you guys have managed to do is create personas that you can, and the question is, do you leave those behind at the end of the night when the lights go off and you go backstage or you go back home? Do you leave that behind?
Should I tell him, or
I
think I'm going to tell him? I'm going to tell you.
I think you go.
So we have this, we kind of have this thing, right, where Chuck and I have talked about how the people that you're talking to right now are actually more of our characters.
Right.
Beasto and the Machine Girl are sort of closer to who we are without society's like, oh, you can't do that or say that. So for that hour, an hour and a half, I get to take off this makeup. And I feel like what lives under this face you're looking at is actually that. It's an unapologetic, strong woman that feels like she's half bionic because of all the the injuries and all the like emotional scars. And I'm showing you that. And Beasto is bigger than his body. You know what I mean? You're like, you see Chuck on stage, he looks like he's 6'5", right? Because that's how big his spirit is. That's how large his light shines. We kind of put ourselves in this little package that we're in here today to kind of like, talk to people and go to a grocery store and do all that. So really, it's like a gift to be able to almost opposite, to be able to take all this off and show you unapologetically what lives under there for real. Yeah. And then when I get off stage, I put it back on and we can take the pictures and sign the things. I think it's duality. Like somebody brought to my attention that I don't take any time to get into character. And that's what made me start thinking about this. I go, oh, I guess I don't. Like, I don't need 10 minutes to sit by myself and like channel it. I can't wait to take this off and let her out. Like basically like at the dog park, I just let my dog eat and then come back in, and then I'm able to masquerade as a human for 23 hours,
Yeah, wow. Yeah, let's flip the whole idea there around. That's great. I love it. I love it.
But with that comes authenticity. You know what I
yes,
mean? Like, you're not
yes,
seeing a character that I'm putting on. I'm showing you something that's vulnerable.
yes.
I'm showing you something that that's real. And so because it isn't a costume or makeup that I'm putting on, it doesn't feel like a chore. It doesn't feel like it takes anything out of me. If anything, it fills me up to where I go, why am I not exhausted after a month of touring? Why? And it's because I've allowed that dog to eat.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Now, you guys fall into a very exclusive genre of bands who have had comic books made about them. Ozzy Osbourne, Cheap Trick, Blondie, Megadeth, Motorhead, Chili Peppers. Okay, well, okay, maybe not that exclusive, all right, but still very cool. Very cool. How did that happen?
We willed it to happen. We are. It's true. Beasto Blanco. We don't rest. We've had the vision of comic books. Our next goal is full feature film about Beasto Blanco.
Nice.
It just happened to be one of those things in your life where you met the right person who told somebody that you should talk to this person. And that's how I met up with Garrett and the rest of the guys at Source Point Press. Was a friend of mine had done a comic book, and he said, hey, who you should really meet is Chuck Garric from Beasto Blanco. I think they would make a great comic book. And the guy called me up, and I said, yeah, we have had this idea for a while. If you're not sold, hold on 1 second, and I'm going to put this nail right on through for you. I'm going to put you on the phone with Calico Cooper and let her finalize the deal. Because Calico's such a great visionary. And so she pretty much had the entire story of Beasto already written and in her head and able to verbalize it. With the very first phone call we had with this company, it didn't take long before the comic book was written.
Oh, wow. Sensational.
Yeah.
Sensational. I love it. Love it. Now, I know time is getting away. Tell me, who are you guys? I always ask this in interviews. Who are you guys listening to right now that is inspiring you?
Calico?
I am and have been for the past couple of years on a crazy Bones UK kick. Do you know who that is?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, everything they write turns me on. Everything they do, I go, I thought like that. It's just so relatable and so great. So like listening to a lot of Bones UK, and then I get the goosebumps every time I hear the band Sleep Token. I
Right.
mean, it's this band that's capable of their heavy metal is heavier than any heavy metal I've ever heard. And then the next song is this ambient, and it still somehow maintains gravitas. I don't know if you haven't heard of Sleep Token, get hip, because Sleep
Yeah.
Token is like it does to my mind. It gives my brain a massage where I go, the record starts and I go instantly into imagination land, right?
Yes.
And I just get so off on that. And I think um it does it for me on all levels. Like I listen to everything from like, you know, from Clutch to you know, Testament to Lana Del Rey. You know what I mean? Where like I always think, what if a voice like Lana's had a just an absolute monster guitar behind it? Now you've got something. Now I
Yeah.
want to hear that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so to say that anything is not good is kind of a fallacy. It's not your taste, but visionaries come in packages where you go, I love the sound of a crunching guitar, and I also love the sound of Billie Holiday.
Mm.
Can that live together? And now I'm thinking about it, right? And now I want to do that. So basically, music I'm listening to right now is anything that takes me away from whatever task I'm doing and makes me go, what was that?
Mm.
You know?
Yeah. Nice.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah,
Chuck.
Calico's got a really great. She's very diverse in her taste in music. I think one of my favorite things to do with her, she always thinks she's driving me crazy. Um, but she's not. She's, I really appreciate it when we're in the car together, or tour bus or whatever, and she's like, "Hey, have you heard the new Blink 182 record?" And she knows that I wouldn't listen to that on my own, but she'll make me listen to the whole thing from start to finish.
Yeah.
And then she'll go, now let's listen to the first Blink record. And then she'll take me on this whole Southern California, Orange County trip. And all before you know, a couple hours have gone by, and I've just listened to bands I really wouldn't have listened to so much. And then I find myself, when I'm wanting to step away from the music that is going to inspire me to write, sometimes I just want to listen to music. I don't want to be inspired to write a song. I have a tendency to get, I really love the doom metal stoner rock stuff, but I'll love
Stoner
to
rock
just
is Chuck.
In a rock. Yeah.
I will love Uncle Acid and the Deadbeats. I just was listening to them the other day, and it's just this lo-fi. I love the harmonies. I love the vocals. I love the guitar riffs. They're just so great, so meaty. I love them so much. And then I'll turn around and listen to Royal Blood.
Right.
I try to just listen to the spectrum and everything in between. I'm also just a big fan of going back and revisiting albums. Now that I've have 4 albums out of my own, and I've toured so much, and I've listened and learned so many songs in the last 20, 25 years, that I'll go back and listen to records that kind of I played, but I didn't really dive into. So I started to listen to the first Tool album again.
Oh, very good.
Which is so great, right? And just kind of dive in. And what made me get into Tool was I started to listen to Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah.
And I put it on Spotify, and I accidentally put on the demo versions of the song. So when I heard the song that Judas sang, I was like, whoa, this sounds like Tool.
Right.
The vocal phrasing and Maynard's approach to that, I bet he listened to this. So
Yeah.
I would listen to that, and then I went back and listened to Tool. And so I've been kind of just getting into that whole trip a little bit.
If you love Tool, then you definitely have to check out an Aussie band called Cog.
I know of them.
You know,
Yeah.
sensational. Yeah, sensational. Just did an interview with them for great.
Really great.
Yeah. Now, are you guys touring with Alice in April in Australia?
I will be with Alice in April in Australia.
Yeah.
Sadly, the Machine Girl won't be there.
Yeah, Calico's doing a TV show, so Calico will be there.
I was hoping that there would be a chance of a sideshow in Australia with Beasto.
Oh man,
I'll tell you what.
Come correct. Like we want to come to Australia with the full Beasto guns loaded, and just unleash it, because I feel like Australia really gets it. Cog, Beasto, they get what the message is. They just naturally get it, and it's written for people with the mindset, like I've found a lot of Australian friends that I have sort of have, like a life motto, a mind body work connection. Like all of that is very Australian. It's very much that. And I think we would just go over there and just enjoy the hell out of it. So this is how we do that, interviews and meeting other Australian bands and getting plays on Australian radio. I mean, that's how Beasto is able to come over there. So thank you for the interview, because this is what helps us able to go.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much too, bud. And thanks for your time. Thanks for the interview. And like we've been telling everybody, have your listeners, check out the video, subscribe, all that stuff. I hate saying that, but you have to nowadays. They got to do all the stuff on Spotify. Yeah. Let the promoters know that don't give them a choice, man. Let's demand Beasto comes over to Australia, and let's make this thing happen.
Absolutely. I'll pop all the links on the description, and thank you guys for joining me on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thank you. Great interview.
No
Talk to you in a bit.
Thank you.
Bye.
Talk later. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Long Way to the Top. Hit plus or follow to subscribe to the podcast, and head over to Facebook at The Long Way to the Top podcast and give us a like. Keep on rocking, and I'll catch you on the next episode of Long Way to the Top.